everybody, John here, and today on To The Garage I've got a really unusual, quite exciting one for you. And what happened is, some while ago, I'm going to say 8 months, I changed the lighting rig in my garage from tube lights, as in fluorescent tube lights, which I didn't like because they were amber, to LEDs, and installed this set of 40 watt 4 foot long LED strip lights with diffusers on, and I've been very happy with it. It's certainly improved the colour in here for filming and for just seeing what you're doing. You don't get that amber hue. It's definitely brighter and more diffused. You've got some dark corners relatively to each other. And I am aware that this is something that doesn't necessarily show up well on film because cameras are just for light. But yeah, pretty happy. I do have an extra light in here for my worktop. The rest of it is that lighting rig. Well, some nice people from a company called SANSI, they saw the video and thought, oh, interesting. We make LED lighting. Some of it's reasonably high-end stuff as well. We're doing in public car parks and garages and all sorts of things. John, would you like one of our garage lights to do a review on? And I obviously sent back, well, yeah, but I'll be really honest. Is it fine? So they've sent me one of their lights to try out. There's only one of them. There's 7 of them, so they're confident. It's only in that box. So I'm going to show you what I've been sent. I'm going to rig it up non-permanently and do a bit of a compare and contrast and see what we think of the SANSI garage light. Okay, so let's have a little look at what you get in the box and why it's such an unusual light. So SANSI, that's the brand name. SANSI LED, or as I kept calling it, SANSILD. SANSI LED is the website if you want us to check out the sorts of stuff they've got. Shanghai SANSI Electronics Company. LED wing light. This is a model C21FS. It's a 60 watt. Luminous flux, 6,000 lumens. So from a single unit, we're getting 6,000 lumens. My LED lights are 4,800 lumens each. So it's going to be interesting to see the comparison. 5,000K, that's the light temperature or LED colour temperature. That's important because that approximates daylight, which is something that my LED tubes don't quite pull off. I think they're 3000K or Kelvin, so these should be a lot closer to daylight. It's not dimmable. CRI 80, don't even know what that means. Base is E27, so that's a large Edison screw if you're in the UK. Not sure how that translates elsewhere. And not suitable for use for closed luminaires, which is kind of code for no lampshades. And what's inside, I have been in here, is a little user guide booklet with basically the same sorts of information as I've just shared with you off of the box, and a little bit of instruction on how to use 2-year warranty. Bit of cardboard. And this is the unit in question. Now, other than the really unusual design, first thing that strikes you about this is it's surprisingly heavy for something that's going to use an Edison light fitting, which is kind of good and bad. Heavy, therefore, you know, You've got to be sure it's screwed in properly. Is that sufficient? Probably more than sufficient. heavy good means stuff inside. It's not just an empty box. So it's kind of got this central box with the gummins, which I would imagine is the, whatever you call it, not the charger, the igniter, whatever it is that runs the LEDs. And in each of these pads, there is 8 LED chips. And something in the middle going on, which I'm not sure about. Somebody watching will know exactly what that thing is in the middle. I don't. I say it's got an open design of LEDs, which basically means that there's a lot of airspace around them for them to give off heat. These things fold down. Very nice feeling mechanism. Folds down and it's got like a ratcheting stepping system. So that's quite nice how that works. The arms fold down to flat, and you can leave them obviously up if you want to send some light in a particular direction, or flat for down. They don't rotate that way, not where I'm sure I wouldn't understand why you'd want to, but there it is. Yeah, so quite an unusual thing. I'm very excited to see how it works. And rather than set it up permanently, I'm going to jerry-rig it a little bit so that I can maybe move it around and do some experiments with it and be able to switch between the existing LED lighting and turning this on to either supplement them or work instead of them, just so you can see the differences. So, here we go. So I bought myself some Edison screw bases. I think these are not actually that common in the UK, certainly not anymore. We tend to use bayonet fittings, and if we don't use a bayonet fitting, we tend to use the small Edison screw. The big one is a little bit unusual, so I had to order these specifically for the purpose. But packet of 4 because it was cheaper than getting one. Okay, so just see how tight that goes. Yeah, it's going to be more than adequately secure. Just does feel quite chunky. I don't know if it says how heavy these things are. Might do. Yeah, might try and weigh it later, and I'll put it in the graphics or in the description below how heavy it is. Okay. So next thing I need to jerry rig some cabling. I've got this old Dyson in here. It used to be my go-to machine. Still love Dyson stuff, but it's developed a fault which is to do with the motor, and it's just not worth me repairing it. So it's going to donate its flex. Ta-da! We have stuff to do experiments with. So just while I'm doing this, because it's not very interesting watching me basically wire up a light socket. The original lighting rig I had in the garage was fluorescent tubes, as we said, and I had 4 of those, and they were 5 foot long, and they were 58 watt, and that gave a rather amber light in here. You weren't really aware of it because it was uniform, but as soon as you put anything on that was whiter or brighter in there, you thought, oh crikey, the lighting's pretty dim. So we switched from that to the current rig, which is 7 LED lights of 4 foot in length, burning at 3000 Kelvin, sorry, 3000 Kelvin, which is a warm light, as they would say. And in contrast, it's white in here rather than amber, and the colours are much better. But I'm aware it's not daylight lighting. And I did a couple of light level checks just for interest, which you can see on the video about the LED batten lights. If you want to go to the video about that, I'll put a link in the description below. maybe a little card on the screen, who can tell. And what they did was, if I measured the light level just above the roof of my car, I got a 150 lux, LUX. If I measured it at the bench here, I got 430 lux, and that's because I literally have a light just above the bench. But that's the level of lighting, and you've got to take that with a pinch of salt because it's done on a phone via an app. But at least I can do comparative stuff using the same phone, same app, etc. Interestingly, the light fittings aren't even marked positive and negative, and of course it didn't used to matter, but with the rise of LEDs it does. So I'm taking the assumption that everything's wired in a conventional manner, which will mean the centre pin will be positive. I am not, and do not pretend to be, an electrician, boys and girls. So if I'm doing something not to code, then, you know, on my head be it. I tell you what, this light fitting is poor. I don't have to be an expert in electricals to know that. If this was going to stop up there, I would junk it immediately. Even my amateurishness knows that this is not good. Let's make it safe enough for our experiments by tightening it by holding the terminal so that I don't rotate the other side. Okay, as good as it's going to get. So I've got my light fit in, I've got a long flex, and I'm just going to fit it to the ceiling in a position where I can test things. I'm going to put it somewhere where the current lighting is most absent, but I've got the roof really well covered, so just so that we can see how it adds to the lighting as well as on its own. Okay, so I have it all rigged up, taking the light up, obviously turned off at the mains. Being careful because of the light fitting, not because of the construction quality of the SANSI light. That I'm confident with. Right, and these can obviously be angled, and I think I'll do that just to see what sort of effect we get. There, that's about it. Okay, moment of truth. Genuinely quite excited, I've got to say. And whether this is good or bad, genuine thanks to the folks at SANSI for feeling fit to send me one of these to try out, because it's going to be interesting. Here we go then, switching on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh. Okay. Well, I don't know how well this is coming out on film, but it's definitely heavily supplementing the lighting in here. So what I'm going to do is I've got a shot now. There you are. So you can see my floor, all the scruffiness. I'll try and keep the lighting rig a little bit out of shot. Cut down on some the automatic light balance sort of effects you get. And then I'm going to turn on spot metering. I think now it won't adjust. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the light here because that's separate and might affect how things look and feel, and the camera is kind of looking at that. And then I'm going to turn on the SANSI. Liking it. Let's see what happens if I turn off the full lighting rig and just leave the SANSI on. That's pretty impressive. I like it. It does look and feel a naturalistic colour in here. And it's one light versus 7. So that's the SANSI on its own. That's the 7 lights on their own. Intrigued and interested. Okay, so we're back to the standard lighting rig. And I've got a probably rubbish app, I have no idea, on my phone. But for comparative play, you know, this is going to do the job. It's set to read lux. Okay, it's on live reading. So you see it's spinning around. If I move it even slightly, it's going all over the place. You have to be a bit careful because the camera actually changes the readings. But go with me on this. So I'm just stood with the phone at 4 foot from the ground. I've got 120 lumens, which is about what I measured previously when I was between all the lights. So I'm probably in the deadest spot at the moment. If I go directly below one of the lights at 4 foot, you get 216. I'm going to move forward, different point, 220. I'll go to the corner, 11. Ooh. Yeah, it really is quite sensitive to the being below the light. That's probably the brightest I've seen, 317. But if I take this as my sample, and to give you an idea, there's where the SANSI light is, and here's the lighting rig. So I'm kind of, I'm going to go offset between the two rigs. Let's see. So 220, 150, 120, 75, 48, 26, 70, 170. As I come back underneath the light again, 200. So that's about the levels. I'm going to switch the lights over now. Keep the camera running just so you know I'm not messing. Yeah, it's gone all dark. Go over here. Switch on that one. Same walk, same position. Turn around, go the other way like I did previously. 100 and 200 and 304. Ooh, right. So I'm more or less, well, I'm not below the light. I'm off to one side. But you can get about 420, 500, which is higher. If I go directly below the light, 1,000 and very impressive. So the single light, I would say, is doing what the LED lights do in terms of looks over, I'm going to say 3 meter diameter at 4 foot from the ground. Sorry for mixing the units, just what I do. Yeah, basically as soon as you enter that 1.5 meter radius, it's well up there and above the LED batten lights. My instinct is if I had 5 of these, so one in the middle of the room, that's not in the middle, it wants to move over to the right, and offset equally away from the walls, one for each corner, I would have brighter lighting from 5 and I'm getting from 7. Now I'm going to add in the LED battens. Let's see what happens. Okay, I don't know if this comes through on shot, but you've only got to look at the SANSI light to see how white it is compared to the battens, which are quite amber, relatively speaking. Let's just go down this same area now, same test, but with both burning. Yeah, straight down the middle, look. Up to 700, and back down. And I've now got higher values. Yeah, I would say, I'm going to say we've got a 5 meter circle there, now 2.5 meter radius, where we've got higher levels than the batten lights alone. So this thing is definitely contributing significantly. I'm going to turn the arms to be flat so they aim straight down and see what effect that has. Okay, there we are, we've flattened her out. It does feel more intense now. Let's try and stop reflections on my phone for you. So I got my back to my bench. And let's do the same again, just line myself up between the 2 rigs. And, oh, just a bad reflection. There, that's better. Let's see what happens as I walk. Yep. That's seriously good. So, yeah, we're getting a high spot of like 1,000. Whereas the high spot with the battens alone, under any of them, is like 300 maybe. Very interesting. Hopefully you can see the difference in lighting output. It's an impressive piece of kit. I've just been doing the maths, or math, in the States, and basically the price of these things, and I'll put the detail in the description below. I'm not going to start spouting the exact figures because they're wrong as soon as I say them, but the prices mean that 7 of the tubes, which I've got up, is more expensive than 5 of the SANSI units. And I'm absolutely sure that 5 of the SANSI units would be brighter than 7 of the tubes. It also have been easier to set up because single point mounting, light, easy, one-man job rather than holding both ends. Not saying the battens are heavy, but they're awkward. And yeah, I mean, just look how white it is. It's definitely a hotter light. Let's turn off the strip lighting once more. Now obviously it's dark in this corner now, but there's a single light. If you had to work in that space, you would be absolutely fine. I'd be absolutely fine. And check out the colours on my car. In fact, let's do a little side-by-side comparison. Colours on car now versus 3, 2, 1. Again, I'm not sure how it's going to come out when I view the film back, but it feels a lot yellower in here now. This is potentially the most telling shot in this film. On the left is the Batten lights, on the right is the SANSI alone. On the left is the colour I think most people perceive my car to be, which is dark green, forest green, metallic British racing green. On the right is what it looks like to me, which is ultramarine mica pearlescent. And it really doesn't show up on film, particularly in my garage, very well. It only shows up on film well when the light catches it outside. This is the colour of my car. So I'm going to switch back again. So this is the LED Battens. This is the SANSI. I like a lot. Well, really interesting. What's my conclusions on this? My conclusion is, if I'd have seen that before I'd have put the Battens up, I would have put them up. Definite, undoubted. Is it a complete game changer? No, it isn't. Are they better? Yes, it's more like daylight light. It is easy to install because you've got the single point mountings. You would need less of them. They are novel, which I like. There's a 2-year warranty. I've got to conclude that they're better. As I say, not a game changer. I don't think you should be ripping out your lights and fitting these for the difference it makes. But if you were going to start putting up a new lighting rig in your garage, I've got to say I would be going there. Just to caveat all this, I have not been sponsored to do this. I have been given that light, which I am very grateful for, but I made it very clear I'd say exactly what I was thinking. So at SANSI's risk. I will put a link in the description below so that you can see them. And yeah, it might be an affiliate link, depends what I can do, which might mean I get a penny or two if you do order some. But yeah, honestly, that's a better light than the Batten lights. Hardly an exact science, I know, but this is my colour test, an arrangement of colourful things. That is just the Batten lights. And then that is just the SANSI light. Haven't moved the camera or anything else, and I'm exactly equidistant between the two lights on the ceiling. That's why I've chosen this point on the floor. So I think that's the biggest difference. It's the colour, and I'm really liking it. If you're detailing the car or something, that's going to make quite a big difference. Well, that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed this, then please subscribe, please share with your friends and give us your comments. What do you think? Have you got one of these? What do you think of it? Has it lasted well? Have you got the Batten lights? Have they lasted well, as in LED? And do you still stick with tubes? Love to know what you guys are using in your garages. Yeah, I'm going to leave it here for now, because now, regulars, I'm just going to change my jacket and then I'm going to jump in a car
and go and look at another project car. Project car come daily driver. What have I gone for? Will I come back with it? Who can tell? Intrigue. See you soon.